ignoring my upload schedule for a second, we finally got the mid-season patch for Operation Deadly Omen, or at least we know what's coming into it. So without stalling getting longer, let's go ahead and look at the pick rates. And as we can see here on console, and I believe PC as well, Ash is just completely dominating, and that's likely because she has the ACOG again. One thing that disappoints me is that Deimos is not really performing that good on PC or console. He's doing a little bit better on PC and console. He's close to Sens in terms of win rate, but pick rate, it's alright. Which makes me very sad. Everything else seems normal. It seems like Finka went back up a bit because of her LMG technically getting buffed. So, I mean, that makes sense. And for defenders, it looks like Lesion, Fenrir, and Doc on PC, actually, is doing pretty good. But on console, Melusi, Doc, and Melusi, Wamai, and Fenrir are topping the charts. Everyone else seems pretty normal. I'm kind of surprised to see Melusi doing so good, because, like, if they have to choose the MP5 ACOG, they would probably just go over to Rook. Or at least that's what I thought. But I guess I'm wrong. Everything else seems normal, like I said. Solus is just making her way back up on PC, which is concerning. For the ban rates, Dokkaebi is still almost at 70% on PC, and on console, Jackal's almost at 80%. Jesus Christ, you just could never play Jackal, can you, on console? In terms of the ban rates on console, Fenrir is still at 80%, and on PC, he is at 80%, which is crazy. I've also noticed on console, Capcan is still relatively high. I don't know why Capcan is so popular on console. I've heard from my friend Showerhead, who plays a lot of console, or did, that he's just basically just free elo, I guess, because people don't draw on a console. I'm not entirely sure. I can't really speak on that. But under the balancing matrix, we see there's a message from the team. As observed in the balancing matrix, there has been a significant increase in the presence of certain operators. However, despite this shift, their performance status do not raise any immediate concerns. Okay, well, Venra doesn't count, I guess. Consequently, we have decided not to make any adjustments to the site distribution, I cannot say that word, I'm sorry, in this patch. It's essential to recognize that the graphs presented only reflect a small segment of the ranked player base. Below those ranks and across the broader player community, I don't know why they didn't say community or it's just player base, whatever, the presence of these operators is considerably lower. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I didn't really think Melusi was that high originally until I saw this, so, you know, I actually agree with that. See now. This downward spiral suggests that these operators' choices were driven by novelty than overwhelming strength. We have observed similar patterns during the 1.5 era, RIP, not really. These based on tests conducted over the past year. We prefer a cautious approach rather than an immediate reaction because the system is still too new. We believe maintaining the current distribution throughout the entire season won't compromise the overall balance. Additionally, prematurely moving these operators could prompt players to switch over to the next operator equipped with a magnification scope. That's crazy. It's almost like that's been happening for the last 5 years. Such a shift might adversely impact the balance of other operators that have not received as much attention and are currently in a good position. That is crazy. Thank you for acknowledging that after 5 years. That is crazy. Hastily removal would not allow significant time to thoroughly evaluate all the pros and cons of the new sites, especially considering the nostalgia and novelty that are influencing the decisions. Okay, that is fair, and like I said, I am so happy Ubisoft acknowledged that even if they nerf an operator, like gun-wise, another operator is going to take their place. That exactly happened to Oryx when he lost his 1.5, and then everyone just went over to Warden. Thank you for acknowledging that, and that sets a good precedent for the future of this year. That makes me excited. And sorry if it sounded like I was a first grader reading a book. Anyway, onto the operator balancing. Azami is already, I'm guessing, already getting another nerf. Increased by 10% to the damage received by high-caliber handguns and revolvers. The handguns would be the 44 semi-auto, the D50, or the Deagle 50, the Vendetta, so they already technically just buffed Deimos, and the Keratos. And the French revolver you can see on Rook and Doc. Increasing damage received by medium-caliber SMGs and assault rifles. I'm assuming that's pretty much like all of them, right? For the SMGs, it is a K1A, P90, UMP, Vector. I don't know why you as a defender would destroy the key, but actually no, I see reasons. Never mind. Never mind. For the assault rifles, 416 carbine, 552 commando, thermites AR, AK-12, AR-33, AUG A2, so that's the AUG on IQ. C7E, oh, that's Jackal's AR, Buck's AR, Mozzie's AR, the F2, F90, that's on Gridlock, G36C, L85, A2, PR308, PF9, R4C, SG3000K, which is his Zero's AR, and Type 99. Increased damage by 5%, or the damage has been received by high caliber assault rifles and LMGs. So the LMGs got buffed against Azami Skibas. For the assault rifles is the AK-74, ARX, M4, M762, MK-17 CQB, the Spear 308, and Lion's Vector. For the LMGs, it is Finka's LMG, Maestro's, Tachanka's, Amuro's and IQ's, Sophia's and Ram's, and both variations of the SAW, or the M762, not the M762, is the M249 SAW, which is on Capito and Gridlock, and lastly, Ying's LMG. Overall, I think Azami did need another small nerf. This might push her into the more balanced area, because when her rework first came out, it was a nice quality of life improvement, but she was still insane, because having that much HP on one Kiba was insane. Considering the fact she had 5, I mean, that was still pretty oppressive for the attackers. So this might gives more incentive to run LMGs on certain operators. Like, I know people still run the Finka LMG now, but you might want to go over to the one on Capito and Gridlock now because of the damage that goes on to the Kibas, which I think that's nice. Overall, I think this is a good change. I saw this one before. Ayana removed the stun grenades, but is replaced with EMP impacts. I see what they're doing with this, trying to make Ayana more of a support player. Personally, I like the flashbangs on Ayana, so I'm kind of sad about this, but I think this was potentially the right call for Ayana. If they want to make her more of a support operator, that makes sense. I'm not going to argue against that. But a lot of people are going to be happy about this. The initial damage on Legion's goos have been reduced to 3 HP from 5. And the refill timer is going from 20 seconds to 25 seconds. And, okay, well, thank you. And this I did not know about, but he is now losing his impact grenades for observation blockers. Probably the most useless gadget they could give Lesion, but I don't think they want Lesion to be that strong like he is now, and he has bulletproof cameras, so we'll be fine on the secondary gadget department. But, you know, I think this is a decent change. I don't know how well this will affect Lesion, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. Nokk is finally getting a buff. Her gadget's duration is going to 30 seconds from 20, but the cooldown is also going to 30 seconds from 20. But this is not really going to help Nokk all that much. I mean, cool, yeah, 30 seconds, that's pretty good. But the silence step was just so good on her. And they even mentioned that the frag grenades getting nerfed has also impacted Nokk, which I agree to. But I don't really... It's a nice quality of life improvement for Nokk, but, you know, we're just gonna have to wait and see. This sounds funny to me. Oryx's Ramadash will now be able to destroy deployable shields and talent shields. Talent shields are being Osa's gadget. The dash is not interrupted. I don't know what they mean by that. We're updating the Ramadash to improve comfort and consistency. From now on, deployable shields and talent shields will no longer impede Oryx's... Oh, okay. Okay, so like before, like, or now, when you hit a deployable shield, your dash will just go away. But now, that's just not going to happen. So, I mean, that's nice. And it kind of makes sense, because, you know, Oryx can knock down the shields, and now he can destroy Osa shields. So, that's pretty good. Sens. They basically gave them another RRU gadget, which this is not going to help at all. It's nice, again, but it's not gonna do anything, because the gadget itself is still bad. It doesn't matter how many of the gadgets you give, it's still bad. So I'm hoping in the next patch we'll see something like that actually gives like Sense like a mini rework, but you know, it's not really gonna do much, unfortunately. Now for the gadget balancing, even though I feel like this would technically be gadget balancing, impact grenades reduce the damage from 60 now to 40 damage, and they reduce the damage range from 3 meters to 2. I was thinking about it for a second, and I thought this wasn't really going to affect the impacts all that much, because this is a clear buff to the shields, because that's their main counter, is the fact that you can just throw an impact at their feet and shoot them in the feet, right? But then I started thinking about the radius nerf, and that means that the rotates you make with the impacts are going to be smaller. So I don't know how much smaller the rotate holes will be, but I don't know. I'm gonna wait for the test server, and I'm probably gonna make a short about that to see how much it gets affected. And these are all the operators that has impacts that are being affected by the Sens, which is Azami, Caveira, Clash, Echo, Goyo, Macho, Malushi, Rook, Valkyrie, Vigil, and Wamai. I honestly forgot Valkyrie had impacts. I'm not going to lie to you, because everyone runs C4 on her. But yeah. And finally, the ballistic shields seem like they're being nerfed. Trigger threshold reduced to 30 damage from 50. So when you shoot at a shield now, after a while of you just constantly shooting them, they would get like a fatigue state, and so they can't run anymore. I think this is what they're talking about. In terms of overall damage, you just need to do 30 damage now. Which, if I think about it, like Jaeger's gun does 38 damage by default, so could he theoretically stop a blitz rush from happening in one shot? That's what I'm curious about. Azami definitely did another nerf. Lesion definitely didn't nerf. I think he was a bit too oppressive, especially for lower ranks. I'm not really sure how to feel about the Ayana change yet. And everything else seems okay. This is not going to help Sens at all. Like, their buff is just not going to help at all, which is very sad. And I'm going to wait for the test server to see before I get an opinion on the impact nerf. But with all that said, that's the end of the video. If you like what I make, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. But other than that, have a good day or good night, and goodbye.